Hello, everyone. I hope you've had a restful Thanksgiving holiday. And immediately afterwards, a crazy Black Friday holiday season. With the way that the biking market has been in 2023, this Black Friday saw a ton of great sales across the board. So if you were planning on buying an e-bike, November really seemed to be the time to pull the trigger. As far as news goes, we saw quite a bit of interesting news stories and a couple of noteworthy new releases for the month. So let's jump in and see what happened in November. Our first story is the surprising news that Harley-Davidson seems to be getting out of the e-bike business. Harley sold off their Serial 1 e-bike sub-brand to a Florida-based company called LEV Manufacturing.
Who?
Yeah, I've never heard of them either. I'm not sure how long this deal was in the works. Many have described it as surprising since this news story hit around November 22nd, but Serial 1's website is still showing that they're a Harley-Davidson company at the time of me recording this. Maybe Harley is trying to cut costs and shed some financial burdens. A bicycle division, it's kind of an albatross for non-e-bike companies at the moment due to post-COVID market shrink and everything like that. So I can definitely understand if they were trying to jump ship as far as e-bikes go, but yeah.
So maybe don't scream at the child.
Speaking of e-bike market shrink, yet again, more bad news coming out of Rad Power Bikes. It appears that there have been another round of downsizing from Rad. Rad announced plans to close their Brooklyn, New York showroom and service center location at an unspecified date. This location was opened up just over 1 year ago, and it seemed to be Rad's attempt to branch out of the West Coast, where most of their store locations are, towards the East Coast market. I do find it a bit odd that they chose to close down a New York City location, since from my understanding, New York seems to be a huge biking market. So I would assume that business would be booming out of that location. However, with the passing of new e-bike laws in the area, it seems that the city is turning to be a bit more hostile toward e-bikes and e-scooters.
E-bikes, they can be a menace on the roads and sidewalk, all for New Yorkers.
That's right. Yeah.
So who knows? Speaking of which, a newly proposed bill in New York City would require a licensing of all e-bikes and e-scooters. I believe the bill's called Intro 758, sponsored by Queens City Council member Robert Holden. If you remember, Robert Holden, he appeared in a previous eNews Cycle episode where he was pushing for more licensing and registration way back in August.
I'm not suggesting things that are not done now for other vehicles.
Which would require all legal e-bikes and e-scooters to be licensed and would require that they bear a license plate and registered with the city's Department of Transportation, just like a car or a moped or a motorcycle or something like that.
Driver, pull over now!
License and registration, please. You know how fast you were going?
While the bill received a lot of support when it was first introduced, it is now receiving some criticism from the bicycle community in New York, saying that this type of law would only discourage bicycling and e-biking. Personally, I would be definitely against any type of legislation in my area. I feel that the vast majority of the push towards e-bike and e-scooter legislation is brought out because of the faster speed electric mopeds and electric e-bikes. Every time I see somebody calling them out for more registration or restrictions on e-bikes, they mention e-bikes that are not class 1, 2, or 3 speeds. I think New York will really shoot themselves in the foot if they overregulate legal e-bikes, since traffic is already so much of a problem that most people are turning to alternative forms of transportation in the area. Bicycles and by extension, legal e-bikes are just much of a part of New York City as being rude.
Being miserable and treating other people like dirt is every New Yorker's God-given right.
And despite New York lawmakers' efforts to seemingly slow down the tide of e-bike adoption, a recent report estimates that the use of electric bikes and scooters have reduced the world's dependence on oil by 1 million gallons per day. An estimated 280 million electric e-bikes and scooters are now in use around the world, and some regions are outselling electric cars purchased as well, people buying new standard pedal bicycles. However, if you put 1 million gallons of oil per day into perspective, it only comes to about 1% of the world's overall demand. But it's a start, I guess. I imagine that the majority of this comes from regions outside of the United States or North America who see e-bikes as a daily commuter vehicle versus here in the States where it's mostly seen as a recreational vehicle. But I'm seeing more and more people every day switching to electric bikes and scooters instead of a car. So I expect this to continue to grow, especially as local governments enact more rebate programs and e-bike purchases in their local areas. One area that has seen a change from primary car deliveries to e-bikes is food delivery drivers. One company that has pushing for a change for a number of years previously is Dominos. Dominos previously partnered with Rad Power Bikes to use various Rad City models to deliver pizzas. Now it looks like Dominos has their e-bike upgrade that they're rolling out they call the DXB. The DXB combines a futuristic looking e-bicycle with an oven and neon lights that look like straight out of Tron or something straight out of some sci-fi movie like The Fifth Element. The oven on the back keeps your pizza or pasta or whatever Domino's sells these days a toasty temperature and has built-in suspension to stabilize the pizza that reduces the wear and tear while the delivery driver is going over bumps. But keep in mind this is only a concept design, so I wouldn't go start ordering pizzas expecting your delivery person to ride up on one of those fancy e-bikes just yet. Domino states that the DXB is a window into the future of delivery, and at this stage the DXB will roll out to select locations across the company's 12 markets with plans for wider adoption. I'm assuming that city or urban markets where bike deliveries are faster than standard car travel, so like larger cities like New York and such. But nonetheless, I'm glad to see that Domino's is continuing to push for more sustainable and eco-friendly solutions. Big news in the bicycle lock market: the company Hiplock announced their Kickstarter for the Hiplock 1000 series. The 1000 series is built upon their D1000D lock that is designed with reinforced premium hardened steel and is supposed to be angle grinder resistant. Portable angle grinders have been becoming increasingly small and battery powered, and in the bane of anyone who owns an e-bike or a bicycle thief can carry around one in a bag, pull it out, and cut a bike lock faster than you can say. They have a demo video of their lock withstanding multiple angle grinder discs. But these locks are not cheap. Their standard D lock will run you $300. I imagine the cost of these larger versions with anchor points would only go up from there. But I guess if you have a higher end e-bike or a pedals bicycle, $300+ is a justifiable cost to make sure it doesn't roll away on its own. While Hiplock is working to prevent e-bikes from rolling away, Electric is working to give them away, at least the profits from them. In November, Electric announced via email and Twitter, I'm not going to call it X, on this Giving Tuesday, we are proud to announce that every dollar from your purchase will be donated to Beast Philanthropy. The Giving Tuesday was November 28th, the day after Cyber Monday, which I imagine would be a major shopping day. I find it kind of amazing that Electric decided to take one of the biggest shopping days of the year and give all the money generated to charity. Just another news story that seems to be cementing Electric as the good guy e-bike company. They had teamed up with Mr. Beast to give away 1,000 e-bikes to needy people in North America previously, and this new pledge donates the sales generated from the 28th is even more mind-blowing, considering how turbulent the e-bike market is today. Quite a number of companies are just cutting costs and tightening their budgets just to stay afloat and to compete against their competitors. Or if you don't want to compete against the competition you have in the market, you can just sue them, I guess, which is just what Future Motion is going to do with one of their major competitors, Floatwheel. In a court document that appears to have been filed way back in April of 2021, it details the case of Future Motion, a company that makes the Onewheel balance skateboards, has filed against YouTuber and Floatwheel creator Tony Lai for patent infringement regarding their similar designed single-wheeled balance skateboard. Just viewing the board side by side, it's hard to tell them apart, but the details in the case state that some of the Floatwheel's internal components, such as the hub motor, share similar designs to Onewheel. I'm no patent expert or lawyer, so I'm not even going to try to dive into the illicit details of the filing, but if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link in the description below. Since November is a month of e-bike sales, most manufacturers generally try to have their latest and greatest e-bike releases made well before this month, but there are a few noteworthy releases for November, such as the Heybike Horizon, a limited edition folding e-bike with an awesome sunset color theme. They specified the peak motor wattage, which is 1200 watts, but they don't mention the sustained wattage. I assume it's 750. But other than that, the Horizon has a 48-volt, 14.4 amp-hour battery, front and rear suspension, a 7-speed Shimano drivetrain, and it has the rear rack included, which is becoming more and more standard on folding e-bikes, it seems. One stat that stood out to me was the weight. The Heybike lists a weight for the Horizon at 79.4 pounds, almost 80 pounds for a folding e-bike, which I guess was more standard for folding e-bikes these days too. They seem to get heavier and heavier. But I guess if you're not moving it around too much, then this weight might not be a problem to you. It appears that only 500 of these are being made, so if I'd act now if you're looking to buy one. Another new release is coming out of Fido, an e-bike company that shares the same name as man's best friend. Released a new e-bike model named the Titan. The Titan seems to be aptly named since it looks to be a pretty big fat tire e-bike with 26-inch wheels, as well as a version that comes with 3 different batteries installed. Although there are a few things about this e-bike that have me scratching my head. First is that the Fido is a standard looking 26 by 4 inch fat tire e-bike, but Fido describes it as a cargo e-bike. Nothing about this bike screams cargo e-bike to me. Sure, the bike has an integrated rear rack that is welded onto the frame, but it is tiny, so nowhere near what you'd expect to see on a utility e-bike like a Rad Runner. And the second thing that stood out to me is the optional 3 battery placement. If you opt for the 3 battery model, the additional 2 batteries are kind of just hang off the rear rack. They remind me of the rifle holsters that you see on horses, but otherwise it looks like a pretty interesting bike. Go check it out. English car company Mini has teamed up with Angel Mobility to release their first mini e-bike, which is not physically a miniature e-bike, but alas, it looks to be a rebranded Angel Cruiser with Mini thrown on the side.
And here we have Duff, Duff Light, and our newest flavor, Duff Dry.
I'm not sure about that battery replacement. It looks like it's a rear rack, but not. I don't know. That was a mini e-bike, and now we have a giant e-bike. Well, a giant sub-branded named Momentum. Their Cyto E+, I think that's how you pronounce it, utility e-bike. As you would expect from one of these premium bike brands like Giant, the E+ looks to be a highly designed, polished e-bike, 750 watt motor, 48 volt, 6.25 amp hour battery, 4 piston hydraulic brakes, cargo capacity of up to 408 pounds, 132 of it being on the rear rack, and a great cargo/utility e-bike that starts at $3,200. This next e-bike, well, I think anyone would look at this e-bike and struggle to call it a bicycle, but the Fisk Black Warrior looks like to be as close to an electric motorcycle that an e-bike can get. It has a 1500 watt motor that peaks at over 1800 watts, 45 miles per hour top speed, of choice of either 48 volt, 30 or 60 amp hour battery. But it does have pedals, presumably for legal compliance, but I doubt anybody would be pedaling this 100-pound bike with its 5-inch wide tires. If you're looking for an e-bike that will really stretch the definition of street legal, check out the Black Warrior. Well, that's all the news for November. I hope I hit on something that maybe piqued your interest. If there was, or if there was something that maybe I missed, let me know down in the comments. Hopefully you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I'll see you next month with December's recap, and thanks for watching, and keep riding. Bye.
I'm freaking out, man. You are freaking out, man.